When I think of America, I guess the buzzword that comes to mind is freedom.
My parents see America as this like land of freedom. Like my parents' dream was to always come back to America.
I think one of the most obvious is the amount of opportunity there is here, which I think is unparalleled anywhere else. And there's just a lot of resources in terms of like human capital and financial and food, and there's sort of plenty in a lot of ways.
And being an immigrant myself, I would say that it definitely is a land of opportunity.
And here, I feel like there's a purpose. People feel a purpose towards something. There's a fire. Not that it's not other places, but I feel like here, when I'm here, I feel like when I do something, it's of consequence.
It's a special place in that everyone has a chance to be free and to sort of live out their dreams.
Now, I've met and made friends with quite a lot of people from the United States. All the people I've met from the United States have been really nice people, really friendly people.
I don't think many people really truly just blanket hate Americans. I think a lot of people feel sorry for America in a way. I mean, it's difficult to feel sorry for somebody who has so much power in the world and is so militarized. But I think a lot of us feel sorry for, the average Americans that, kind of sit in the middle and aren't very radical left, radical right, maybe don't support the war and aren't fat, aren't loud and obnoxious, just ordinary people like you or me, and you're very misrepresented in the world. You're very misrepresented in the world.
Yes, our government has done a lot of bad things, but honestly, many people in America cannot control that. I do not decide the things that my government does. And in fact, I think only the government decides what the government does, and people really have no control of that. It sucks, I know. I'm an American. That's how it is. I know, but there's nothing I can do about it. But it's not right to blame one individual American for what their government is doing. I didn't have anything to do with anything that my government did.
I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who recognize that not everybody feels the way that our leadership feels. Not everybody has the values that are portrayed in the media. But I don't know. I still hear so much negative feedback about who people think we are and what people think we care about. For anybody that watches who may not have an American friend or have visited the States or had occasion to really talk with somebody, or hell, maybe you have had occasion to talk with somebody and they were very offensive in their beliefs. I don't know. Try to treat each of us as individuals. I mean, that's what we're all supposed to do, right?
It's still one of the greatest countries in the world, because we do have freedom of speech, whereas, in other countries, for instance, my uncle, he was at a bar talking. She said something about our president in Nigeria. Before you knew it, he was in jail for 4 months.
Wow.
So we have that freedom, and, everybody has kind of an opportunity here to make something of themselves.
I still think there's a mission out there, and Americans really can't stand for so many positive things, and I think that's got to be communicated again. That message needs to get out again to the world.
In many countries, opinions of the United States are now about as positive as they were at the beginning of the decade before President Bush took office. And that was pretty surprising to me. I'm not at all surprised that Barack Obama was popular. We knew that from the surveys that we had done last year and the other surveys we've seen since. But that this popularity is translated into a change in attitudes toward the United States. U.S. favorability in Western Europe, as you can see, in France, it's up to 75%, almost as high, if not higher, than it was back in 99, 2000. And the slope of the line is the same everywhere, pretty much. But Spain remains having a less favorable view than the other countries in which we polled. In the Muslim countries, there's relatively little movement. The movement that we see in Lebanon reflects the views of Sunnis, not Shia. I think the difference between Sunni and Shia on this question is 95% versus 2%. It's the biggest gap you will ever see in any country among Muslims. In other countries, there's a great rise in Indonesia from 62% to 37%. Nigeria, also a big increase. In Pakistan, we have a steady 15%. I might add another question in the survey found that 64% of the Pakistanis think the United States is not their partner, but in fact their enemy. Other countries, modest increases in much of Asia, but the opinions were relatively positive in Asia. They didn't take the dip about the United States, didn't take the dip that they had taken in Western Europe, 70 to 78 in South Korea, 41 to 47 in China. Canada, there's a very big jump. Israel, the decline that I mentioned, but look at the very impressive Mexico, 47 to 69%. Even the Argentinians, who have had a real problem with us since the early part of this decade, went up to 38%. And obviously in Africa, the image of the United States in Kenya and Nigeria is riding pretty high.
Since the days of Franklin Roosevelt, and the service and sacrifice of our grandparents and great-grandparents, our country has borne a special burden in global affairs. We have spilled American blood in many countries on multiple continents. We have spent our revenue to help others rebuild from rubble and develop their own economies. We have joined with others to develop an architecture of institutions, from the United Nations to NATO to the World Bank, that provide for the common security and prosperity of human beings. We have not always been thanked for these efforts, and we have at times made mistakes. But more than any other nation, the United States of America has underwritten global security for over 6 decades. A time that, for all its problems, has seen walls come down and markets open and billions lifted from poverty, unparalleled scientific progress and advancing frontiers of human liberty. For unlike the great powers of old, we have not sought world domination. Our union was founded in resistance to oppression. We do not seek to occupy other nations. We will not claim another nation's resources or target other peoples because their faith or ethnicity is different from ours. What we have fought for, what we continue to fight for, is a better future for our children and grandchildren, and we believe that their lives will be better if others' peoples, children and grandchildren, can live in freedom and access opportunity.